Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geeky Geezers. I am your host, Aged Boomer. This is my co-host, PaPa Pacelli.
Very sober tonight, thank you.
Were you sober last night? I need to
Yeah, I guess I was. I didn't have any adult beverage last night, so yeah.
Was Scrooge sober during that, huh? Because he was seeing some weird stuff.
The milk of human kindness. He was getting drunk on.
He liked the milk of human kindness.
Yep.
The day is mine. Trek break. Troy Pacelli. What?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm missing
first?
the reference there, Auditor Dread. But you were first, so congratulations on that.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome,
Horizon Talker. Everyone should be subscribed to him if you're not already. There's a reason he has a wrench.
Vlogs. Yes.
Daniel
Heron. Welcome.
Daniel Heron. He's okay.
I love each week. I try to guess the movie we're doing this week, right? And like last week, I said I think we'll be doing Die Hard 2. Nope, it was Gremlins. Because he's trying to arrange guests, so it's a little complicated because he's trying to hear back from people. So different people are supposed to come out for different movies. Like I think it's Chris P for Die Hard 2, and I think it will be Eric for Home Alone 2. But we're either going to do Die Hard 2 or Home Alone 2. And if you think about it, those movies aren't so different from one another.
True.
I'm just saying. Let me see. I have watched Spooderman film. My feels quotient for the week is already met. Permission to be a savage as needed. All topics granted. Godspeed. Okay. I want to make a point about this new Spider-Man film. Mm-hmm. I know Troy seems rather nonplussed about it, but I'm sure there are people listening that may actually want to go see it. So no spoilers tonight if you could. I'd appreciate that. Okay.
Yeah, but as I'm starting to realize for most of the other YouTubers, it's like, you know what? We're through opening weekend. Honestly, we're going to have to start talking about this damn movie already. So if you haven't seen it, then what the hell are you even doing on any of the socialist medias anymore?
Does the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man show up and sacrifice himself for the good of all because nobody cared about the Amazing Spider-Man series? I'm kidding, of course. I'm sorry. I can't.
Actually, have you seen it yet yourself?
No, I don't even know if the other Spider-Man show up. I'm just guessing.
Okay. Well, if you don't want any spoilers, I won't say anything. But I've seen a lot of the, like good scenes or whatever that people have shared and whatnot. And I mean, it does look like a good movie, and I think there's a lot of good things in it. I think the one thing that I've been hearing the most about it is fans that have been fans of Spider-Man films since the first one feel very honored and justified and whatnot. I've heard some even making comparisons with Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Okay.
Of being of honoring a franchise, in quotes, fan service, but it's justified fan service because you're building on what went before. But I think the downsides and the weak sides that I'm hearing are, this could just be part of the fact that it's not, MCU proper, but half in Marvel Universe and half not. And it's like, this whole MCU portion of it is a freaking mess. And that does really kind of seem to mess the whole multiverse. What do you call it? The multiverse. Earlier this morning, we were on Matthew Flynn's channel, and we were talking about Ben 10 Omniverse. And we were talking about time travel and just bad time travel. And if you're going to do it, it's got to be, you got to establish your rules and stick to them and plot them out. If you half-ass it, it's going to ruin the whole thing. And I feel like a lot of the multiverse stuff is doing the same thing. So I'm hearing a lot of, well, this happened and this happened and this happened in the movie, but there's no explanation of why. And if this, then why not this? And stuff like that. And if this, then why this? And a lot of that kind of stuff. And so it's like, well, that's fine if you just want to shove popcorn in your face and go, yay, Spider-Man. But it's not good if you want to go, I want my story to make sense,
I tend not to like alternate universe storylines. It's been done well in a couple places. I did like how they did it on Fringe. And I did like how they did it in the animated Justice League Crisis on Two.
And I will say, both of those examples you bring up, and everything in the comics and so many other things, there's one thing that they all have in common. Your alternate universe versions of these people are all played by the same actors or drawn in the same style. And when you see your alternate version, it's like you're looking in a mirror, and it's weird and it's creepy, and you either have twins playing the role, or you got split screen or whatever. But this idea that and DC did this with their Crisis on Infinite Earths, which made no frickin' sense. And it looks like the same thing happening here. You got all these different actors playing different instances of these people, and it's like, well, why does Clark Kent look just like Ray Palmer or whoever it was? It makes no sense. Why does every different universe's Superman look completely different? It should not be that way.
No.
You should, in fact, some of the best, actually, I hate to say this, I'm going to actually give some points to Star Trek Discovery on this. You had a whole season of a character from an alternate universe playing the role, or infiltrating and being his alternate, reality.
I defended the mirror universe stuff in season 1 and started Discovery.
Sure.
I thought that was probably the one writer they got rid of who came up with that stuff. Remember?
Probably.
Because that stuff was actually kind of interesting. I also appreciate the fact that they spent time over in the mirror universe. It didn't just happen. They were over there for a few episodes.
Now, the fact that it's neither the same Star Trek universe nor mirror universe that has been in anything else is still a problem.
Yeah.
But in terms of the use of the alternate universe, great use of it. And did not have no way of knowing when, and when Spock and Kirk did the same thing. The only way you knew it was Spock was the goatee, right? And if he wanted to infiltrate, the regular universe, he'd just shave off the beard and mustache, and you'd have no way of knowing.
Oh, look, the problem with them upping the ante every movie is that you get to the point where do you go from here? You already have a Peter who fought with the Avengers, went to space, etc.
And that's another problem too. Is why do you have to keep upping the ante? You're missing the point of storytelling. You don't need bigger and bigger and bigger stakes, right? It's the same thing. It's the same brain dead story writing that, writers go, well, how do you write for Superman? He's too overpowered. Because you're focusing on the wrong things. Focus on the humanity, and the superpowers mean nothing anymore.
Look back to the Justice League animated series. The pilot for that series starts out, there's an alien invasion. Okay, we're getting invaded, I guess, by the quote-unquote white Martians. Of course, we turned out they weren't originating from Mars anyway, but, they're invading Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like it's Earth's darkest hour. That's one of the reasons on that version of the series, Wonder Woman leaves Paradise Island. She says, this is mankind's darkest hour, and then her mother says that mankind will have to face it alone. We don't interfere, and that's when she left, and she went to go help the other superheroes fend off the aliens. But what I thought was interesting was, after that, you can still do stories with the Justice League that isn't like a world-shattering thing. Like
exactly.
Like, one of my favorite episodes was this episode with a man named Dr. Destiny, who was just this low-level crony of Lex Luthor who got sent to prison, and he couldn't get out of prison, so he started going in for like mind experiments, right? Using this machine to make his kind of give him some kind of telepathy, right? And
sure,
during a prison break, and when he knows he's not going to get paroled, he goes into the machine and puts it up full volume, and he comes out, and he has powers where he can go into people's minds and go into people's dreams. And like if you're falling asleep, he'll take over, and he has power over you, and he can do it to Superman, any of the big heroes. He can mess with them by getting into them when they're most vulnerable, when they're sleeping. And it was a fascinating episode. And he wanted revenge against the Justice League because they were who sent him to prison. So. Yeah,
I mean, and I even remember back in the late 80s, Justice League International, one of the best arcs was told from the point of view of a stray cat.
Oh, that's funny.
It was very, very funny, and that's what was great about it.
I wish they had done an animated series based on Justice League. international. That would have been hilarious. It could have been like an Adult Swim series or something, right? But,
Oh my gosh, that would have been brilliant.
but well, whatever. Warner Brothers.
But this is what I'm talking about. It's and that's another thing that I'm hearing about this Spider-Man No Way Home. There are some great character stories there that are not. I mean, yes, there's a lot of higgledy-piggledy, multiverse, many villains, stuff. But there's also some really good, what you expect from Peter Parker, the heart, There's a throwback to the death of Gwen Stacy that's just heart-wrenching, It's good stuff. It's good stuff. On the other hand, I'm also hearing a lot of people saying, yeah, but some of that story was kind of countermanded by what they suspect to be bad editing. Like something really big and emotional happens, and then immediately after you've got this goofy, silly, funny scene that makes zero sense in the timing or the characterization.
Is that a Marvel MCU thing where they're always doing that? Everything has to have humor, even when it's not.
No. Okay. Because that's actually always been a part of Spider-Man, right? Even sometimes in some of his darkest stories, he injects the one-liners and the humor. And I think they've even done commentaries from his point of view where he says he does it just because it's his coping mechanism with some things. But there's also times where it's just not appropriate even for him,
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine if back at the very beginning, he finds out that Uncle Ben is dead, and he's holding Uncle Ben's dead body and goes, I see what you meant by with great power comes great responsibility. Good on you, Uncle Ben. That would have been like, no.
Oh, wait a minute. Zootopia, we're not going to spoil the movie, okay? Hi, everybody.
I'm kind of talking around everything.
He's talking around it, so don't worry. And, yeah, we'll have more details probably in a couple weeks. I don't know if I'll end up seeing it or not, but maybe I will. Maybe if I get dragged to the movie, I'll go catch that one. It does seem like the crowd is at least appreciating it. And I'm saying this, people see this. I know a lot of the knee-jerk thing is this is another Disney movie. This is not. This is a Sony release. And I'm looking at this. I'm looking at Ghostbusters Afterlife, and apparently Venom did well too. They're kind of hitting it out of the park in the movies this year, where all the other big studios were messing around in streaming wars land. Have you noticed that?
Well, box office on Spider-Man No Way Home, $253 million.
But we're in a pandemic. No one's going out to the theaters.
Yeah, no, this is...
Could it be maybe you're not releasing movies people want to see? And maybe that's been the mystery all along.
It's the 1-2 punch for the box office, right? On the one hand, they put out a movie that people were very excited about, that has gotten great word of mouth, so people are not hesitating to go see it.
Yeah.
And because it's Sony, there is no day and date. It's not even possible.
No.
So it's making all of its money from the theaters. And from everything I'm hearing, all that's showing, because this is what's making money, is Spider-Man No Way From Home and Ghostbusters Afterlife. They have multiple screens in the theaters playing these movies because it's bringing in the dough.
And apparently Venom, I'm not the biggest fan of that series, but that did well as well. And that was another Sony release, no day and date with the theater. I'm thinking they're the ones looking smart this year, and all the other studios are not looking so smart. Here's
one thing I'm going to say, and I have no dog in the hunt. I can't, therefore, make my own prediction on this. Don't have enough information, but I would put this out to the audience. Where do you think the Sonyverse is going to go from here? Between Spider-Man and Morbius and Venom. Those of you especially that have seen this most recent movie, and you can't ignore, and what relationship are these things going to have with the almost completely disconnected Disney Marvelverse?
Interesting.
I don't know what the answer. I don't even have a speculation on that. I'm just throwing that out as food for thought in the coming weeks.
All right. It should be an interesting New Year's, regardless.
Yeah.
But instead of talking about the New Year, do you want to talk about
the past week?
I was going to say the good old days.
Okay. Years gone by? Okay.
Yeah, this is going to be me maybe pulling a little bit of a prank on old PaPa.
You don't set it up that way. It's like, I'm going to do a magic trick, but there's no such thing as real magic.
Whatever. Yeah, that's actually a very bad way to do a magic show, isn't it?
Right?
You didn't ask me what I'm sipping on today, by the way.
What are you sipping on?
I have a peach tea.
Yeah.
Peach tea.
And I've got my... Yes, your hippie drink. And I've got my my diet grapefruit soda.
Diet grapefruit soda? It's good for what ails you?
It's good for hydrating me. There's no caffeine, so it doesn't dry you out or anything.
I have a question. Do you have a problem with peace tea? Do you have a problem with peace?
Kind of, yeah. Because
so this is the peace on earth, goodwill toward men time of year, but maybe you're not so into that. Well,
I love the idea of temporary peace. You know, the Christmas armistice. You know, lay down your weapons and whatnot. But by and large, life is about conflict. The only way, if you found a genie lamp, don't ever pray for world peace, because there's only one way to bring about world peace, and that's to wipe out all life on Earth. Then you will have complete world peace.
I told you, there was that one X-Files episode where Mulder got the genie lamp, and he had got different wishes, and one of the wishes was, his first wish was, I wish for world peace. And granted, the genie says, and then he's the only person left, and there's no people on the planet. All the cities are empty, and he says, "Very funny." And she says, "This was a." She's like, "There's no such thing as a selfless wish." She was arguing with him. He says, "This was a selfless wish." No, you wished it to feel better about yourself. That's what she told me.
That's not a bad point, Well, and it's funny because that kind of speaks to the modern culture, right? All the virtue signaling we talk about. And you're like, if you really thought through the things that you're saying, these things that you say about social justice and, accepting and, racial biases and all this kind of stuff. No. This is all about your guilt. So you are actually... engaging in racism to make yourself feel better about your own racism.
Yeah. Well, too, and I think you've also often argued confession by projection, but
a confession by projection. That's right, and the soft bigotry of low expectations. And in fact, I don't even like that saying anymore, because I don't think it's a soft bigotry. I think it's a hard, straight-on bigotry.
Yep. But anyway, getting back to the good old days, we'll have plenty of chance to...
Yes, give us something to be happy about.
Well, maybe not. Micronauts. I don't know what they are, so don't ask. Now, you did mention on your Friday stream, you talked about how you would purchase some Micronauts, but they were not... If you could go back in time, you would tell young Troy, maybe these aren't so hot.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So, well... Why don't you take me through what you got here, and then I'll give my commentary.
Just some random pictures, because I don't know anything about these. But Here we are. What do we think, huh? They have kind of funny... Actually,
I'm sorry.
I remember getting a couple of these as hand-me-downs.
Okay, so wait a minute. Wait, right there. No, yep. Those. Okay, those were the kinds of Micronauts I had. Okay. These look a little different from the ones I had, but these were slightly smaller than 3 3/4 inch scale. Look at the joints at the wrist. Okay, they've got like this cuff over them. They were very, very thin joints. I am actually surprised they held up as well as they did and didn't break on a regular basis. These were far more articulated figures. These were jointed figures before the G.I. Joes came out. Before this, all you had in the 3 3/4 inch line was, your 5 points of articulation from like the Kenner Star Wars figures, right?
Yeah.
So I started getting these because, you'll get to the vehicles a little bit later. Some of the vehicles were really, really cool, and of course you need the little robot to go inside of them. But I did not follow the lore behind them. This wasn't like I'd gone and seen a Micronauts. I had that, and I really kind of like this. And you'll notice that portion of his chest there, this clear section, that was a place where you would put one of those little guys from the previous screen. And the cool thing about Micronauts is you could take them apart, put them back together in different ways. This figure was probably about 12 inches tall. Maybe a little bigger, but you could take him apart. He became a vehicle. You could put him together in different ways. Those hands had spring-loaded, claw grips on them. Mm-hmm. And in fact, Mego, I think was it Mego that put these out? I want to say it was Mego that had the license for these. Used that hand as the robot hand for the android figure from Logan's Run. Because it worked with, that scale, that 9-inch, scale of theirs. So,
cool.
Just, pointing that out. But I had, okay, so here you go. These are actually a little bit better. So you can see that reddish looking guy on the left.
Yeah.
The third one, that goldish looking guy.
Yeah.
Those were the kind that I had. And they were a little bit translucent. They were kind of cool. But all of these figures, you could take them apart, put them together in different ways. You could interchange body parts and whatnot. So you had a great deal of stuff you could do with them. Actually, that guy that's just a little bit right from center, he looks like black and white with like a goldish head. No, to the left of him. Yep, him. Nope. Him. I had him, but in a different color scheme, I think.
Okay.
So a lot of these figures, that was the other thing, too. There was many, many, many variations of each one of these. In fact, some of these guys on here are just different color variations of the same guy. Honestly, you would have to, who you'd have to ask for more information about the lore behind these would be Matthew Flynn. What I do know is that these were a Japanese product. They were part of some anime over in Japan.
See, they feel like something out of Japan.
Yes, they absolutely were. Yeah. And they were licensed, and this was part of there. Yeah, that's a great example. That's exactly one of the ones that I did have. That little chest piece came off. You could put on different ones. I don't know what they were supposed to mean. Those feet were somewhat... They didn't move up and down very well, but they were on a ball joint. So they were very, very posable, far more posable than any 3 3/4 inch figures of the day. But I bought them because they were kind of in scale with the Star Wars figures. I kind of liked the vehicles that they had. But honestly, they didn't have lasting, interest for me because I was not invested in the lore of these things. But my understanding is that ultimately, there you go. The Marvel Comics started doing a comic, which I never read. Apparently has nothing to do with the original Japanese lore or anything like that.
Though, huh?
Oh, I guess. I think she was one of their Marvel characters. Like there was a crossover type of thing.
Like a praying mantis guy? What is that?
Some alien of some kind who I don't know they had any toy of or anything like that. But I think that was the thing about it. They did have you just got to sell these toys, and as long as you have these characters, find ways to tell stories about them, and sell the toys. But this was a slightly larger scale of figures that I did not get into, but my buddy David had these. I guess it was just the difference of the black character or the white character was the difference of good and evil. And they were basically the exact same molds, with just different color schemes.
But this was a toy line, I guess, was popular, but that in retrospect, you feel that you weren't really that into them. Is that what it was?
Yeah. It was a great quality toy, and if it had had the lore behind it, I think it could have done much better than it did. And it did do pretty well in the United States. I would just say that I lost interest in it quickly enough that if I could go back in time, I'd tell little Troy, don't spend your money on this. Put more money into the Star Wars stuff. You'll be happier in the long run.
They remind me of the Autons from Doctor Who. The
Oh, I can kind of see that. These, my understanding is that from a toy and lore point of view, these were like the precursors to and led into Transformers.
That makes sense. I can see how these might have evolved.
There is some connection that I don't fully understand. I know that Matthew Flynn explained it to me on one of his shows, but my head was kind of swimming with the lore.
Well, think about it, though. You take one of these little figures, and then you can put them into this big vehicle guide that can maybe turn into a car. I think you can kind of see maybe where they
tell me that's
go.
not.
Yeah.
Tell me that doesn't remind you of something like what's it called? Power Rangers or something like that, right?
Yeah. So
and more so that last robot that you just had on. Tell me that doesn't make you think of what's his name? Not Spectre Man, the other one. Yeah, Spectre Man.
Who?
Or no. I'm sorry, Battle of the Planets. Remember the kid that would blow the whistle? The father robot would show up. That's in my mind as a kid. That's who that was.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, no, I mean, like I said, I know that these were a big thing, but
yeah,
I think I inherited a couple of them, but I was a kid, I didn't know what these are. And it's like, is this Star Wars? What is this?
It's a very, very 70s-ish kind of thing.
I don't know anything about.
And it was one of those things that it was viewed by a lot of, even myself, saw it as being compatible with Star Wars toys. Some of the villains were very Darth Vader-like. Those slightly larger figures, I did point out that all of them could be taken apart and put together in different ways, but those 6-inch figures that you had up had magnetic joints, so they were even more linkable. And you could take, you'd have the robot and the horse, the robotic horse, that was basically the mount, but you could take off the neck portion of the horse and the upper torso of the humanoid figure and make a centaur figure out of them.
Neat.
Yeah. So yeah, they were really cool. They were good toys. I don't mean to bash them in any way. I just feel like there was some missed opportunities on the lore that could have actually made them even better. But they are definitely a slice of the 70s. Definitely a Christmas memory for a lot of kids from the 70s.
I think the lore is important, though, with toys.
It is.
Do you remember with, I think G.I. Joe used to come with little comic books or something? And so
and that's what...
As well, and,
He-Man was all about that. It started out with, there was no lore except those little comics that came with it. But then they started putting out the Filmation series. And then it was all from there. And here's the thing. All the toys are, action figures, is just a representation for role-playing, okay? This is why when you play a role-playing game, you have little miniatures, right? To plan out your battles and stuff and represent the characters. It's a shared storytelling. That's all that play acting was as kids. You'd pretend to be superheroes. You'd pretend to be cowboys and Indians or cops and robbers or whatever, right? Well, action figures were just, you can't go outside and play and actually be those characters, so we're going to stay inside and play with the action figures, right? They were just representations of a shared lore. And so when I'd get together with Ronnie and David and Mike, we had all seen Star Wars. So we all knew who these characters were, how they interacted, what our stories were going to be, and they kind of made sense, right? Mm-hmm. And every now and again, someone would do something that didn't make a lot of sense, and the other two would be like, no. But Boba Fett wouldn't do that. Okay, you're right. Okay, let's try this again.
Boba Fett professes love to Princess Leia or something stupid like that, right?
Well, right, until the special edition comes along and, he's hitting on the dancing girls, so I don't know.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of which, that's starting this week, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Very,
so
very much looking forward to that.
okay, so I'll be curious as your reaction.
Looking forward to the return of Han Solo too.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that tonight.
We're going to talk about
we should
that.
probably
Yeah.
just get into the news. Hold on, let me get.
I have them, and I tried to sort them out, but you choose the order you want to talk about things in.
I'm just doing the order you sent them to me in.
Okay.
Because
I have so much power.
You have so much power, and with great power comes good old days. I should put my
comes good old days, right? Exactly.
Okay. All right. So, first up, yay! No, not really yay.
No, gosh.
Any Snow White fans in the house? Classic Disney movie.
Or maybe we should say former Snow White fans, because you may not be after this news article.
Brought people to tears when the original Snow White came out. No one had seen. I think that was the first animated feature-length movie, the first feature-length animated movie ever made.
I think so, yeah.
And grown adults were crying in the audience. Like
it was a very good movie. Let's face it.
It had a huge deal when it came out.
It was basically the kind of movie that they would have made in those days. It was just done in an animated style, which allowed them to do what we would consider special effects, right? Because you had the transformation of the witch and the, mirror on the wall and all this kind of stuff, the magical effects. All of these things that you couldn't do in live action back then, you could do in animation. I mean, even look at Superman. I mean, in order to do live action Superman, in order to do the flying, they do an animation of Superman flying, right? And in the distance and a little bit blurry. And then when he'd land behind a car and the actor would stand up.
Of course.
And so when you went to, everything being animated, yeah, it's a kid's story. It's a fairy tale. But it's definitely an intense children's story that the adults could enjoy. And it's got, the love element and, all that kind of stuff and the hero and the, all that. Plus it had the comedy and the fun. And
it's a brilliant animated feature. Those first 5 Disney movies, I don't want to say nothing's ever come close in animation, but they're up there. That's like the pedigree. I remember when I was watching a documentary on Walt Disney himself, and he said that when he went to see Cinderella, because he wasn't as involved in the animation division as he was with those first 5 movies, that everybody loves Cinderella, but all I see are the flaws.
Oh, yeah.
And I think just the first 5 Disney animated features, which was Snow White, Pinocchio, Fantasia, Dumbo, and Bambi, are really the hallmark. So naturally, we have to remake things that are perfect. At least Disney thinks they do. And I will give Disney some points. When they remade Cinderella, they did their Cinderella remake. It had some elements of the original, but it was really its own story. They kind of did a different thing with it. They just did a live action version. It wasn't terrible. Someone with Helena Bonham Carter was the fairy godmother. Do you remember that one years ago?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it wasn't bad. I mean, it wasn't the original, still the original, but at least they were trying to do something different. And then we started getting like the Beauty and the Beast remake, where it's basically the animated movie set to live action, but I don't like it as much.
Yeah, because they go in and they try to correct some continuity things, but they end up making other things even worse.
Doesn't make sense.
And it just, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Okay, so here's the latest. They keep holding these over us too. I've noticed this. Rachel Ziegler is currently wowing critics and audiences alike in West Side Story.
Is she? Well, we'll talk about that a little bit more.
The first thought that popped in my head was she's not wowing the box office, but
yeah.
And the YouTube star turned actress already has her next 2 big projects mapped out. She completed work on her DC debut, Shazam: Fury of the Gods, coming in 2023. Earlier this year, back in June. I think we talked about that, didn't we?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, though Snow White, the movie, earned its play in cinematic history as the first feature-length animated film, Snow White, the character, generally isn't viewed as one of the Mouse House's best heroines due to her lack of agency and independence. Her reliance on her prince and the dwarfs to rescue and protect her was acceptable back in 1933, but not so much nowadays. Thankfully, Ziegler is promising that her Snow White will be much stronger. In an interview with BuzzFeed, Zegler admitted she couldn't talk about it much, but she revealed that the remake will acknowledge the criticisms against the princess characterization and teased the director, Mark Webb, The Amazing Spider-Man, has completely revamped Snow White's storyline. Oh man, I want to start tearing into this right now. Mark Webb, we may know as the director, I'll just tell the chat, of Amazing Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man 2, if y'all were big fans of those movies. There's not so much I can say about it besides the fact that Snow White has constantly been criticized, Zegler said. Even though she's the original Disney princess and we love her so much, she's been criticized for existing solely for a prince, existing solely to be rescued. And I think that our director, Mark Webb, and everyone who's working on this film has really taken her narrative and turned it into something that's a lot stronger. So Zegler doesn't mention her. It's believed that Oscar-nominated filmmaker Greta Gerwig wrote the most recent draft of the screenplay, so she likely has a big hand in the protagonist's increased arc too, turning a controversially unfeminist character into a feminist one is something Gerwig is familiar with following her work on the long-held-up Barbie movie. I keep forgetting that's in the works. With Zegler as the princess, Wonder Woman's Gal Gadot is stepping into the role of Snow White's sorceress stepmother, the evil queen. Maybe the villain will actually get a name this time around, question mark. Okay. Harry Styles has been rumored for the prince, though he was previously linked to the Little Mermaid, and that came to nothing. Then again, he did just work on Disney on Marvel's Eternals. Okay, so it's going to start filming in the United Kingdom in 2022. I'm noticing a trend lately with this movie, and it seems a lot of others, and they're being very careful, I'll admit in this, to not be too nasty to the original, but it's almost like we have to bash the original movie. I don't know, maybe I just contradicted myself there, but it seems like, oh, it's a wonderful one, but there's a problem, and we're going to fix it. And that seems to be the thing with how they're selling a lot of these remakes. The original is fantastic, but we're going to fix it. Like West Side Story, that's another one, which we'll get into in a little bit. Which won Best Picture of the Year, came out, and I think it had the most Oscar wins of any movie, or close to that, or at least for a period. But we'll get to that when we get to West Side Story. What do you think of this new Snow White movie? I think Gal Gadot as the evil queen is actually rather bizarre to me because she's Wonder Woman. They cast against type a lot now in Hollywood too. I noticed,
well, and from a certain point of view, that's not a bad thing because they're actors.
They're doing it all the time.
And as you know, I don't like seeing actors get typecast. I do want to see the range that they are capable of. You know, right. But at the same time, yes, it can be very jarring. Honestly, though, when it comes to something like this, pissing all over the original Snow White aside, you know how I feel about these stupid, unnecessary live action, remakes. Fucking stop it. We have a whole wealth and breadth of mythology and stories out there to tell, and you only seem to be able to keep remaking the same dozen of them over and over and over again. I mean, honestly, let's do another Jungle Book. I mean, what? There's already been 15 remakes of it. Let's make another one.
Yeah, I actually didn't. In fact, I think Favreau did. I didn't hate the Disney remake of the Jungle Book. It was
there was one that was really good, but then the other 12 were shit.
That other one was a Warner Brothers one, I think, but they could have kept doing sequels if they wanted to keep doing sequels to that. But I don't know. It was. I'm getting kind of tired of a lot of these live-action Disney remakes. I hated Beauty and the Beast remake. I did not like that at all, but little conscious choices in that movie which got on my nerves. For instance, the women that are all falling over themselves for Gaston in the animated feature are all very beautiful, but he wants Belle. In this version, they're not so much. They're kind of, I don't know, they look like the Wicked Stepsisters, I guess they couldn't take anything away from Emma Watson, I don't know.
Well, that's the other thing. This allowing these actors to kind of run ramshackle over, the way the movie's going to go, instead of saying, no, you're contracted to play the role. Read the lines, play it the way it's played, or go somewhere else. Yeah,
and I was making a joke about Mark Webb being the director. Mark Webb, how can I put this? He's one of these directors that gets hired because he does what the studio tells him to do. It seems. The Amazing Spider-Man movies, you missed out on those, didn't you? I don't think you watched those at all.
Probably,
The
yeah.
Andrew Garfield. I actually like Andrew
Oh
Garfield.
yeah, no, I didn't see the
I think
Andrew
he's
Garfield
a good actor.
films.
I didn't like those movies, but I think he's a good actor. I felt that was them trying to take Spider-Man and inject the whole young adult thing was popular at the time, like
Yeah.
Hunger Games and Divergent and Twilight and things like that. And I think they were trying to make these Spider-Man movies kind of cater to that type of audience.
Look,
I think that's what those
in and of itself, I don't have a problem with that. It wouldn't be completely inappropriate for Peter Parker. The problem is with, and I didn't want to get off on a Spider-Man tangent here, but you've had so many, in quotes, reboots, recastings, reimaginings of who Spider-Man is. And it's like, can we just pick one and stick to it? You know?
They could always just switch actors, trade off actors like with the James Bond movies. I don't know why they never do that with these.
There you go. That's the other thing too, right? And keep the story continuing going, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't. I'll tell you, just like Batman, when they recast Batman, that didn't mean it was a different Batman. Now, the problem was they also changed directors, and then it became a whole different ball of wax. And it's like, okay, wait a minute. After the second movie, the third one looked nothing like what came before it. It wasn't just a change in actor. This is not even the same character.
I think it's technically they play fast and loose. Like you do have the same actor playing Alfred, the same actor.
I was just going to say you have the same actor playing Alfred, so yes, you are to assume that it is continued.
And there are little
continuity.
references, like I think someone makes a reference to Catwoman, or at least like you liking with claws or something. Like and little references,
and that's fine. I mean, I'm not disputing that they truly are, in a narrative. It's just you've changed it so the tone has changed so much. It's absurdist. You went from Dark Knight, Batman to almost Adam West again, and it's like,
well, by the time you got to Batman and Robin, you were in Adam West territory.
I think you went beyond Adam West. I think you were into absurdism at that point.
Anyway, we got off. Anyway, you looking forward to the Snow White remake?
Not at all.
No,
but then again, I never am. And I'll tell you something else. Anyone who has any negative feelings about, what they said about, the original Snow White, or, if they say something stupid, like they don't want to hear what a 50-year-old white guy has to say about Snow White, just remember, it's your own fault because you keep going to these effing movies and giving them your money.
Yeah, and also I would say upcoming actresses who have yet to have a big career yet, which is you. You may want to watch what you say,
right?
Unless you want to be like another certain Cowboy Bebop actress who I wonder whose career is going to go where. I probably nowhere at this point, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, how's Brie Larson doing? What's she been in lately?
She can. I don't know.
I mean, I think it's about time for her to put out a sex tape. I think that's the only thing that's going to get her any views and clicks.
Well, she was in the Unicorn Store, which she also directed.
My point exactly.
Okay, anyways. Okay, big news tonight. Harrison Ford is returning as Han Solo. What?
Yeah.
Stop the presses. What's going on here?
Yeah, and the reason I chose the giant freaking robot article was because it's the original. Everyone else is referencing that
all pointing
article.
From this one. So, this is their exclusive. I'll read a little bit from it. While Harrison Ford has starred in many movies over his prolific career, audiences will always know him as Indiana Jones, Rick Deckard, and Han Solo. Mm-hmm. It's funny. I always think of him as Jack Ryan from those two movies he was in. But okay, he seems pretty okay with that, as he's returned for sequels to all three franchises within the past decade. But will he ever step back into Star Wars? The original cast often seem to be done, but then appear in new productions over the years. We had questions. Now, a trusted and proven inside source for Giant Freaking Robot has shared that Harrison Ford will play Han Solo again. We hear that the actor recently filmed his part for an upcoming project. While Giant Freaking Robot's source was unclear on what upcoming project Harrison Ford was on set for, we're hearing that it was either The Mandalorian Season 3 or the Book of Boba Fett. We also hear that Harrison Ford filmed a DH Han Solo for the project. This likely wasn't anything new for Harrison Ford. The 79-year-old actor has recently been filming Indiana Jones 5. Photos from the set have shown markers on his face that hinted at de-aging CGI being used for at least some of his scenes.
Mm-hmm.
It won't be new for Lucasfilm Disney Plus shows, whichever one he appears on. One of the biggest surprises at the end of The Mandalorian Season 2, spoilers, was the appearance of Mark Hamill as the DH Luke Skywalker. Okay, so I guess he's coming back. Does this mean... I'm telling you, I keep thinking that maybe this Solo movie is... We talk about other things being written out, but I think Solo a Star Wars story is gone. I think that's going to be the first thing that'd be chucked. They didn't bother doing a sequel.
Honestly, am not ready to speculate on that yet. There's still some moving parts going on behind the scenes that I want to see how they play out. But what I will say about this is as you read in the article, we already know, yes, they've already done all the de-aging scenes for Indiana Jones. So they've got those life models in the computer for Harrison Ford. It would be stupid not to use them now for,
even if it's just a cameo.
Han Solo. Exactly. Yeah. So I think, and everyone looks, and they know that Lucasfilm has hired Shamook, because he demonstrated, hey, look, I like what you did with Mark Hamill, and I improved it. Look what I did. And they're like, you want a job, kid? And so it sounds like they put him to work on Indiana Jones, and it would almost be ridiculous for Favreau to go, we got it. We've already, invested in this asset. It costs us nothing extra to port it over and do a few scenes with a younger Han Solo in Book of Boba Fett. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen in the Book of Boba Fett specifically. Maybe it'll be Mandalorian. Maybe it'll be something else entirely. But it's like, come on, you've got the opportunity. Now, getting into the politics of it. Harrison Ford has famously said, kill me off. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do the character anymore. I want to separate myself from this. And yet, he came back for the sequel trilogy. He came back for another Indiana Jones film. He came back for the sequel to Blade Runner. He keeps coming back and doing these films. So
he came back to have his cameo in Rise of Skywalker, where I guess Kylo Ren almost apologized and is, I know, son. It's like, okay, so he gets to have his
whatever about that.
For
I never even saw the movie, so I don't know.
So awful.
But what it comes down to is, I think there's always something that's going to bring him back. Just because he doesn't want to do it and he wants to be killed off, whatever. Look, he's also got friends, right? He's still friends with George Lucas, right? He has not been a friend of Kathleen Kennedy. He's never been a fan of hers. So when he sees his friend's legacy being crapped all over, and, in retrospect, he looks back and sees his unwitting role in it, I could totally see him going, okay, yeah, I'll come back and I'll do the thing on your show, and you can use the character. I mean, I'm gonna die anyway, so just go ahead and give me more money. That's fine, and yeah, I could totally see that happening.
Okay.
It makes sense. In fact, it's almost impossible to argue it not happening.
All right, so interesting. So it'll be interesting to see if he makes an appearance on. I don't know. Will we see a Boba Fett Han Solo reunion?
Well, here's another interesting thing that you don't have an article on in your notes there, but I can throw in something else about Book of Boba Fett. If you've all seen the trailers, there have been a number of trailers.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of really great scenes, and a lot of YouTubers have broken apart the Easter eggs and made speculations and so forth. But just last week, one of the writers on Book of Boba Fett said, all that footage comes from the first half of the first episode.
Yeah, they don't want to spoil.
That is not episodes, into the... No, this is literally just the first half of the first episode. There are a lot of exciting things and surprises that we're keeping under wraps. So I think letting it slip out there that there's going to be a de-aged Han Solo, I think they're going, you know what? People are expecting it. We can't hide this. Let's go ahead and let it leak. That drums up some excitement.
Yeah.
But we've got some other things planned that they won't see coming. Here, look at this. Look at this thing that we, in quotes, leaked. Han Solo, you think you know the big secret of the season. And then there's like 2, 3, 4 other things over here that they're not letting you know about. But you're too busy thinking you know it all because you know that Han Solo is going to be in it.
Yeah, it'll because they focus on that and it's
Yeah.
what's actually going to happen on the show. So I guess a lot of stuff will be happening on Book of Boba Fett. Like
a lot of speculation that I've heard based on a lot of nothing, really.
So
But
it's not going to be like The Gifted, where they take 6 episodes to rob one bank.
Yeah, right. A lot of speculation that they're going to use Book of Boba Fett to really kind of reestablish the lore for the OG characters, and kind of restore your faith in them, like Han Solo, like Luke Skywalker, and so forth. Also, some indications because of what's it called? Who's the Jedi chick with the 2 white lightsabers? Ahsoka, because the Ahsoka series coming up, and her line in the last episode of Mandalorian. We know that Thrawn's coming up. We know that Ezra's probably coming back too. So it's a lot of people are saying, you know what? It looks like we're going to get some form of the Thrawn trilogy. It's going to be different. I'm sorry for all you purists out there that want it to be purely Luke and Han and Leia and the twins and Mara Jade and whatever. I'm sorry. You're probably going to get some Ezra Bridger and Ahsoka Tano and who knows who all. But this is this is the growth that we expected from the sequel trilogy, right? Where you do show honor to the OG characters, but you start weaving in, other younger characters. Well, the animated series has been doing that all along, and there's a lot of fans for those characters. And you could say Ahsoka Tano's a Mary Sue if you want to, but she's nothing like Mary Sue Ray. She's not a Rose Tico. There's a lot more to like about her than dislike when you make that comparison. So, come on, let's give these guys the latitude it takes to build a good story from the shit they've had to work with.
We'll see what they do. Like I've argued, I think over at Lucasfilm and Disney in general, you have the competent people and then you have the incompetent people. And I think the camp working on the TV side of things, at least so far, I think are the professionals that want to make, good product. Okay.
Not to mention that the people that are making good product are the ones that are making, making bank. They're the ones that are bringing in the money with the Baby Yodas and the Mandalorian figures.
And it's Robert Rodriguez. I mean, he did Alita. He did a lot of movies that we've watched and loved over the years. So,
and with the leadership change over at Disney, they're backing the people that are making the money. They're the ones making the money, or the ones making the better stories. So, I am eager to see what happens with Boba Fett and so forth.
So yeah, you'll have to. We'll hear your take on it next week.
Oh, sure.
All right. So, Diary of a Future President canceled after 2 seasons by Disney Plus. I didn't know this even existed.
Yeah.
I
thought we talked about it in one of the Geeky Geezers.
We might have. I've come to the conclusion that Disney Plus is this weird amalgamation of basically the Disney Channel. This strikes me as a Disney Channel show.
Yeah,
something on the Disney Channel for the tweens to enjoy, and then you have like the Marvel series and the Star Wars series, which are supposed to be the main selling points of it. But hey, there's all this other content on there as well. Then you have 20th Century Fox leftovers like the Home Alone movie and apparently a Turner and Hooch series, unless that was also a Disney-owned thing.
So it's also a blending with the direct-to-DVD stuff they used to do.
Yeah. So here we go. Disney Plus's Diary of a Future President has come to an end. The streaming service has canceled the series after 2 seasons. Series creator Ilana Pina revealed the news Monday on Twitter. Just found out that Diary of a Future President is not moving forward with season 3 at Disney Plus. Pina wrote, of course, we would love to continue telling the story, but I am filled with so much gratitude for the 2 seasons that we did get to make. The coming-of-age series, loosely based on the life of creator and executive producer Ilana Pina, followed Elena's adventures as she navigates the ups and downs of middle school on her journey to become the future president of the United States. Viewers also get an inside look at the young Miamians' home life alongside her mom, Gabby Selena Leyva, and a busy attorney with a budding office romance, Michael Weaver, and her older brother, Bobby, Charlie Bushnell, who is coming to terms with his sexuality. Okay. So
on its surface, not a terrible premise. Okay, it's kind of like a Wonder Years type of story, except if that story was taking place, instead of it being someone from an adult from the modern day looking back on the 80s or whatever, it's, you know, someone who will be an adult. It's more like How I Met Your Mother, someone who's an adult in the future looking back on the current day. Okay, and this particular adult is someone who's going to be the president of the United States in that future time that it's being told from, right?
Yeah, except that this series was already made a few years ago. Hold on, what's the title of it? It was Jack and Bobby. Yes. Jack and Bobby was a series about 2 brothers, and one of the brothers would end up becoming president of the United States. And it was told it was like the early 2000s.
I had actually forgotten about that. You're right.
The WB, and it's the same premise. So I'm not even saying that you can't ever do this premise, but this has sort of been done. I used to joke when this was on TV that one will grow up to be president, and I said, and the other will grow up to be the head of the Legion of Doom. That would have been an awesome series, right?
True. But that series is of course based on 2 real people, and it's like the dark cloud over it is, and they both end up getting assassinated.
No. They were just named Jack and Bobby, but it was taking place in modern times.
Oh, really? I always thought that
Just
series was.
I think the mother was a big fan of the Kennedys, so she named her sons Jack and Bobby.
Oh.
You know, and then you would have you would actually have interviews from the future, people talking about the president. You know, my good friend Bobby talked about when he was a kid and this incident that happened with us, or they talk about modern incidents like. You know, like the president is arrested in another country in the future because he violated something, so the country actually arrested the president of the United States and how he dealt with it, and it goes back to what he was dealing with in high school when he was or middle school, whatever he was.
Interesting.
When the show was going on, and it went. So like you'd have it's kind of like, oddly enough, that fan Star Trek series where they're talking about the ships. They were like these fake interviews from the future, people talking about this president, and then it relates back to the story being told when he's younger. You understand? In our modern times.
Sure.
It sounds like the same program. That's what this reminds me of. But maybe not close enough to be sued, though. So there you go.
But I'm just having some pretzels. Sorry about
pretzels
that.
Pretzels are not. You can munch. It's okay.
But honestly, it's not a bad premise, but it really did smack of the, SJW agenda driven, diversity driven kind of thing. And again, when you put those kinds of things over story, I don't know if the story was any good. I didn't watch the show. I don't, subscribe to the channel, but it sounds like it wasn't doing well enough to continue. And I just find it a little sus that it's being dropped right as, again, we're having a change in leadership that's coming in and saying, yeah, we're going to start looking at what we're going to continue with and what we're going to be doing going forward.
It should be interesting. Chapek, maybe they were spending too much money on this thing.
Let's just say that I think that 2022 is going to be a very interesting year over at Disney. I think we're going to have a lot to talk about.
I think so. So we have Spider-Man No Way Home news. We're not going to talk about the movie itself. No, again, remind the chat, no spoilers for those in the chat that do want to go out and see this movie this week. Audiences do seem to like it. It is a crowd pleaser. Spider-Man No Way Home shatters records with huge 50 million in previews.
Yep.
This is the next story. Yes, okay.
That was from, the very, up to the release. That was some pretty good money right up front.
Breaking. I'll read a little bit from this. Spider-Man No Way Home blew the doors off the box office, earning a massive 50 million in Thursday previews. The Sony Pictures release is on pace to pull in 150 million to 180 million over the opening weekend. What did you say the numbers were now? I'm
going to drop that article because you don't have it in your notes.
Go ahead.
This is from Variety. Yeah. So Variety is saying 253 million as of about noon today.
Wow. And this is making me want to get very venomous.
I think this makes it the third best opening of all time.
In 2022, I don't want to hear this, it's doing well for the pandemic crap anymore. If people want to see a movie, they're going to go see it. If they don't want to see a movie, they're not going to go see it. That's what's going on here. Now, maybe it's this day and date crap that's been hurting the box office as well. I don't know. Or maybe it's just the movies weren't that good. Not that I'm naming names. Black Widow. Anyway, I did finally catch Black Widow. It was not bad. No. Didn't pay for it.
I mean, whatever I might have been critical about, and the things that I've heard about it, and for all the other things about Marvel going on right now, there is no way around it. This is some good bank for Sony.
But this is Sony. This is not Disney.
Exactly right.
I'm going to reiterate this. This is not...
Which is going to make the relationship between Sony and Disney over those Marvel properties very, very interesting going forward. Because when they last contracted, they were like, please, Disney, help us. We don't want to give up these rights, but we're not doing very well. Can you help us out? And it went very well for both of them. But now Sony is going, look, you guys, what have you guys got? You've got Shang-Chi. Woo! Shang-Chi did so well. And your Disney Plus shows have done just stellar. And then you got 253 million opening week for Spider-Man. Thanks, Disney. Yeah, you know what? We'll just continue our Spider-Verse, and we don't need the Avengers.
I'm telling you. Well, they keep... I'm telling you, all the big Avengers are no longer there. I mean, to be fair with Black Panther, it was unfortunate the actor died.
Well, that's the other thing.
He was one of the next big ones.
What can Disney offer them at this point? I don't want, your Captain Marvel. I don't want your, Ironheart. I don't want... Oh, definitely don't want your Eternals. I don't want any of the characters that all that's going to do is hurt us. That is not going to help us.
Where is the Fantastic Four at this point?
Don't know.
Am I wrong here? That would have seemed like the most obvious one to start fast-tracking.
This is what the fans are the most upset about with WandaVision. if you watch the videos of all the fan theories about who is this character, who's pulling the strings, who's this behind this person that they mentioned, this Easter egg here, there was talk about what's it called? I almost said Modifius. It's not who it was. The devil character, that they thought was behind it. Nope. Mephisto. Yeah. No Mephisto. It was Agatha all along. There was talk about the scientific consultant to the military. Everyone said, "Oh, it's going to be Reed Richards." No, it was some other jamoke that nobody cared about. All these things that would have been great opportunity. And then the biggest drop was, you have the reveal of her brother being, the Quicksilver from the X-Men movies, and you're like, okay, great, here's where we start blending the universe. Nope, it was a bunch of bullshit. It was a tongue-in-cheek little cheap shot, and it meant nothing. And it's like, okay, I lost interest. I don't care anymore. None of this means anything. It's all a bunch of bullshit. Yeah, and a lot of people did that. They're like, okay, I don't care anymore. I'm done.
Okay,
that's really where it started to fall apart.
According to Rise and Talker, there is a Fantastic Four film in the works. Well, they haven't announced the cast, at least, because I know the big favorites were John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, because they were.
I mean, that's great. It's in the works. You know what in the works means in Hollywood? It means bupkis. Okay, until it's actually filmed and we have an announced release date, it may never happen. Well, there's a lot of Star Wars films that were announced that don't look like they're happening. Hell, even Indiana Jones now has been pushed off a year, and now people are starting to say maybe that won't ever happen.
We have Thor: Love and Thunder, though, which apparently they're not liking Chris Hemsworth. They want his Thor out of there. Did you hear? I think that was a story I didn't cover. Maybe that was a rumor, but that they're kind of wanting to get rid of the Chris Hemsworth Thor now out of the MCU. And I think that these directors don't realize that Thor was actually many people's favorite Avenger.
Yeah.
Like, there was not this understanding that people liked the Chris Hemsworth Thor. And I know with the last one, the third one, they made it kind of a comedy, but I think the core character was still there, but then they made him go to crap in Endgame. And
look, I've talked about this, and Valiant Renegade has done a great job of talking about this too. I've pointed out that, yes, you could argue that they're using their SJW messaging as their excuse for why they're doing this, why we're getting this all new, all different Marvel. But the reality is,
they don't pay the actors.
It's not paying the actors and not paying the creators of this of these IPs, the people that created, Tony Stark and Thor and all these characters. They want their own characters that they don't have to share the money with, and that's fine if that's what you want to do. But some of a lot of money is way better than all of no money.
Yeah. At this point, the best Fantastic Four film is The Incredibles. You might have a point there.
It is time for them to just shut up. I mean, just like they did with Spider-Man, right? It's time for you to shut up, put out, sign the checks you need to sign so that everybody makes money. When you decide you're just going to be greedy and you're going to keep it all to yourself, you're going to keep a lot of zero to yourself. Congratulations. It takes money to make money. I've made the analogy to Batman 66 many, many times. For many years, there was a behind-the-scenes war between Warner Brothers DC, who owns Batman, and 20th Century Fox, who owned the rights to the TV show. And neither side was making any money off of that. And you couldn't buy those on home media. In fact, they even stopped showing them in syndication on TV. And then someone got their head out of their ass and said, look, it's better that we come to an agreement and split the difference and both of us make money than neither one of us. So now you can get the Adam West Batman on DVD. You can get all the toys. They started making new comic books and animated features. Luckily, they got a couple animated features done while Adam West was still alive.
Adam West was such a trooper. He would also lend his voice on some of the other Batman animated shows. Like
yes, he did. He did the voice on the Super Friends too for a couple seasons.
Yeah. He would pop in on other, even when they would have like a new actor playing Batman on like Batman the Animated Series or the Batman. They would have Adam West show up and do a character, and it was a neat little tip of the hat. I did appreciate that. But I did want to read one paragraph from this second Spider-Man article though. You can say that any Marvel Cinematic Universe title is self-fulfilling box office prophecy. However, Eternals, in its Byzantine storytelling, proved that false. I don't know what that means, but that sounds hard. And Spider-Man No Way Home in its opening weekend made 1.5 times more than that movie's entire domestic run, now at $163.6 million. From the onset, this was the quintessential Spider-Man sequel, moving forward with the future while paying great homage to the franchise's past. It's how Star Wars and Star Trek do it. A what?
let me say something else too.
I'm sorry.
A lot of people bitch and moan and complain about fan service, and yet it's the fan service films that seem to be making all the fucking money. Surprise, surprise, shocker. You please the fans, they bring the money. You don't please the fans, you have Ghostbusters 2016.
Or Cowboy Bebop,
or Cowboy Bebop, or
this upcoming Snow White, perhaps coming out.
Exactly.
In fact, but let me put this. In fact, the old conceit of pulling characters from one franchise, various iterations, in one huge story has done before. Read 1994 Star Trek Generations. I laughed at that comment. I am not a fan of Star Trek Generations. I don't know what you felt of it, but do you remember that Star Trek Generations? I've warned Birdman when we eventually do that movie, I will be attacking it throughout the movie. But maybe you were more mild to it. Maybe you thought it was okay. But I was.
Well, and especially in retrospect, by comparison to what we're seeing today, yeah.
I guess. I made an argument that when William Shatner is on the Enterprise bridge at the beginning, that it's almost like William Shatner is doing a William Shatner impersonation.
Yeah.
You know, not like actual Captain Kirk, but. Like I said, we'll get to it eventually, but
I mean, I was gonna say, you know, by comparison to what we're seeing out of Star Trek Discovery and Picard, I mean, Star Trek V looks like amazing.
I think that Star Trek V is a example of anything that could go wrong would go wrong. Murphy's Law. Yeah, I think the original premise for that movie wasn't a bad one. It might have been interesting, and
absolutely.
I like to cut William Shatner some slack.
And the broad strokes of that story have played out very well in Star Trek Online. That, I mean, it makes perfect sense in the in-universe history of Star Trek. You know, I'm totally behind that. But yeah, the finer details of, you know, what does God need with a starship and stuff like that. That's like. Okay, it's pretty dumb.
No, you know? When I watched this, I think my brother said one time, we're watching this, and it says, "Why does God need a starship?" And then the quote unquote God character in that shoots lightning out of his eyes and hits Kirk in the chest. And they said, "Oh, it is God."
Yeah.
Because never mind. It's just, I guess it's not that fun.
But of course, it becomes very apparent it's not God, and in fact. It hasn't been established 100% in canon, but there was an episode in Star Trek: The Next Generation where the traveler comes along and they travel to very, very far away. And no, I'm sorry, it wasn't that one. It was the one where Barclay ends up getting super powerful and taking the ship to crazy speeds to someplace very far away, and they meet apparently the same species as the one from Star Trek V. And oh yeah, we're an alien species. We don't travel. We bring everyone to us. We want to learn about you. You know, it's like, oh, well, that's a pretty cool story. You know, and we couldn't reprogram your ship, so we reprogrammed one of your officers. But he's okay now. We fixed him. And it was actually a really good story, but a lot of fans have keyed into that and said, I'll bet that's the same race as the one from Star Trek V. Maybe in Star Trek V, that individual was imprisoned in our galaxy by that race,
Yeah.
So
Adam West on Family Guy was humorous, and I liked his cameo as the Gray Ghost on Batman the Animated Series. Yeah, and he played the voice of the mayor on the later Batman Animated Series, the Batman. So it's kind of
yeah. Oh yeah, and in Family Guy he plays a caricature of himself. He's playing Adam West.
Oh, that's funny. All right, next up on the docket, why Steven Spielberg's West Side Story hit the wrong box office notes. Now, you probably are very familiar with West Side Story. You're big into the musical theater, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I do know the movie as well. The original West Side Story was a big deal when it came out. This was back in 1962. I believe, it won Best Picture, and I believe it might have had the record, at least for a while, of having the most Oscar wins for any one movie.
Yep.
It was a huge success when it came
out. And of course Natalie Wood plays Maria,
yes.
And a couple of the main actors in Twin Peaks were in West Side Story. It's a classic film, great soundtrack, modern dress for the time, telling of Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's another one of those classics that, again, does not need to be remade, and it certainly doesn't need to be remade with modern sensibilities.
All right, so let's go ahead and read a bit about the box office, and we'll talk a little bit about the content of the play, or at least a couple things. Steven Spielberg managed to get critics on board for his ambitious West Side Story remake. Moving-going masses, not so much. Over the weekend, Disney and 20th Century Studios... I can't get used to saying that. It's very weird. Did you know 20th Century Studios and Fox Studios were separate entities, and then they joined up into one studio?
Right.
Like, I was during the 40s or 50s, and then now they're cut apart again, and the Fox has gone away.
Exactly.
We found okay. Thank you, Disney. This is Disney. It's not some separate entity anymore. I guess they just held on to it though. Reimagining of West Side Story collected not just 10.5 million its domestic debut, a dismal result for a movie of its scale and scope. The lavish musical, one of the best reviews of the years, carries a 100 million budget and faces an uphill battle to profitability. Given its price tag, industry insiders estimate West Side Story needs to generate at least 300 million globally to break even in its theatrical run. The film is playing exclusively on the big screen and doesn't have a hybrid streaming component, which could help ticket sales in the long run, but it has an awful lot of ground to make up. I heard on Clownfish this is going on Disney Plus for free. If you're a Disney Plus subscriber at the end of the month.
It's still overpriced. Okay,
West Side Story could sustain momentum through the holidays and emerge in the black. Analysts say there are all these articles out there trying to carry water for this thing. They're saying, well, like the Biggest Showman, that didn't do so often. It made money over time, and
look,
Les Miserables and all these other films, they weren't the big hits out the door, but they made, because it's just how musicals play on theatrical ones. It's not the movie. I've been seeing this everywhere.
It's the problem that I was talking about on my channel when we had Sertor and Clegane on. Mm-hmm. We have had a very terrible run of Broadway adaptations to movies by movie makers who just frickin' don't know what they're doing. It's a different animal, and you have to understand that. I mean, ideally, you want to bring the stage production to screen. The simplest way to do that is just record the frickin' stage production as, on film and then play it in theaters. Okay? If you want to improve that, that's great, but never sacrifice the quality of the songs, the quality of the choreography. You need a director who understands these things. And so far, we haven't had that. And that's how we ended up with Les Miserables that sounded horrible, that takes good singers and makes them sound like they're fucking dying, okay? And we end up with Cats that sound like somebody's killing fucking cats with animation that looks like, oh my God, nightmare fuel.
What happened? Hollywood back in the day, prior to the 70s, I guess, but like in the 50s and 60s, they were churning out big musical adaptations that were very professionally done. West Side Story being one of them, the original.
Look, one of my favorites.
Have they lost their touch when it comes to this sort of thing?
Yes, they absolutely have, because it has been so long since someone has done it that the talent doesn't exist in Hollywood anymore. You don't have the directors who understand it anymore.
I'm almost wondering if maybe getting a Bollywood director for some of these things might be a good idea.
Maybe, or you know what might be good is you have two directors that work together well. Get pick your movie director and an Andrew Lloyd Webber that come together and, this is what we need to do to make this movie shot work. Yes, but you can't sacrifice this, otherwise the song and dance number doesn't work, Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It'll take something like that. Maybe I have a bias, but one of my favorite film adaptations of a stage play is The Music Man. Okay?
Oh, yeah. That was
with Shirley Jones and Robert Preston. Okay?
I remember that movie.
Now, I was in The Music Man at the Candlelight Dinner Playhouse in Summit, Illinois for 6 months. Yeah, with a performance a night and 2 on Sundays. And so I know that play inside out. I know that musical. And I know it from the point of view of Theater in the Round, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've ever seen Theater in the Round, but the stage is in the middle and you're sitting all around it. And people would enter from the 4 corners.
Okay, cool.
Cool. And you literally have the actors coming up the aisle to get on stage and stuff like that. Plus the stage itself would sink down for set changes and stuff like that. And sometimes the actors would get on their cues and come up with the stage or whatever. Anyway, so I've seen it that way. I've seen other live performances of it in a more traditional sense. And then, of course, I saw this movie, and that's how you do it. Those actors and dancers and singers in the movie are the same performers that have performed it on Broadway, Yep. I mean, they are Broadway performers, okay? Now, one could argue, well, wait a minute, Les Miserables, you had Hugh Jackman, he's definitely musical theater, Boy from Oz and so forth.
Sure.
Sure. And Anne Hathaway, definitely an incredible singer who has gobs of experience. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then they made them sing, full blow for 12 hours a day. And they took the last shot of the day when their voice sounds like this. I mean, there's a lot of YouTubers out there that are actually in, professional theater that have talked about this, and it's like, look, there's that great scene where Fantine, Anne Hathaway playing Fantine she has her hair cut and she's gonna sell herself into, prostitution and stuff, and she's crying and when an actor cries, they get all sloppy and the tears flow and the snots and the throat rattles. When you're on stage singing, you don't do that. You fake it. You act like you're crying, but you don't actually cry because you need to hit those notes. So, yeah, I don't know. That's a mess. And West Side Story has its own whole area of mess. first they're changing, a character to make him transgendered.
Who was a tomboy in the original production. That is not the same thing.
It absolutely is not. And it really destroys not only the agency of a fictional character, but it's not like they updated this to 2020 to take place in 2021. This still took place in the 1950s, 1960s.
Yeah.
You didn't have transgendered people then because there was no transitioning back then. Nobody did those surgeries. Nobody did the hormone injections.
Really?
Okay.
Is that what they were portraying? I mean, I haven't seen this new version. Wow. Okay. I don't. They could, but they didn't, and they didn't bother setting this movie in modern times either. They still set
exactly
period. So
exactly. But again, this is that revisionist history. This is forget what the 50s and 60s were really like. This is what they were like now, which also kind of destroys the whole. Well, where's your struggle then? If you've always been accepted, why are you so pissed off now?
Doesn't make any sense. And this is what this article is saying, and you can act like if you agree or disagree. The biggest obstacle facing West Side Story is and will continue to be convincing older audiences to go to theaters. Along with families, it's the main demographic that has returned in full force since the pandemic, and particular with new variants emerging.
That doesn't work real well when Spider-Man's doing so well.
Well, they're saying that that's the movie for the kids and for the families, whereas this is for the sophisticated adults that used to come out in packs to come see these movies.
This is the same tired old thing. Superhero people are tired of superhero movies. That's why Captain Marvel didn't do better, and that's why this movie and that movie didn't do well. And Marvel fatigue. Oh, really? Spider-Man. Oh, well, COVID and this and COVID that, and we can't get people out to the theaters. Oh yeah, well, Spider-Man, Ghostbusters, Godzilla, King Kong. Come on, okay. Let's try living in reality here, and this is the same thing. During the pandemic, we did real well with movie theaters showing re-releasing old movies, people going to see those and saying, man, this was a lot of fun. I'd forgotten how much I liked this movie, and it was great to see it on the big screen again. Hell, I actually think that if they had re-released the original West Side Story, it would have done better than this movie has.
Probably.
And then they could bitch and moan all they want about how problematic whatever elements of it was they didn't like.
It brings up other ones. They said La La Land did 448 globally over time. Greatest Showman 438 million globally. Mary Poppins Returns 350 million globally. Did you see Mary Poppins Returns?
Absolutely not.
Oh, I didn't mind it. I didn't think it was that bad.
Nope, I had absolutely no interest.
Okay.
Nope, because the original Mary Poppins was one of my favorites, and I did not like a lot of the things that I was seeing about this so-called sequel.
Well, anyway, I didn't think it was terrible. But anyway, that's okay. You don't have to see it. Anyway, Emily Blunt, though, I do like her. Let's see. Though.
And honestly, Disney does not have a great track record with sequels or remakes. So
here's what I'm going to say about that. I think that they were being very careful with it, maybe to a fault, but they even had an animated sequence in it where they go into a tea, like a tea set, and it's animated like the old school Disney animation. I did appreciate that, kind of like what they did with the original Mary Poppins. Well,
maybe I'll be more interested when Emily Blunt does a remake of SOB. I don't know.
SOB? What are you talking?
Look it up,
man. Okay.
Julie Andrews was married to Blake Edwards.
Never mind. I know what you're
okay.
About. Julie Andrews, there was a big controversy, I think, when, what is it? It's when she was not casted as the lead in My Fair Lady.
Okay.
Because she had played the lead on Broadway for that.
Sure.
And but that's okay because she got cast as Mary Poppins and actually won the Oscar for that year.
Yeah.
So that was a big.
Well, you can't you can't argue with talent, right? I mean.
Yeah. Okay. But okay. This goes back. Actually, someone brought up in the comments. I'll bring it up again. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna get to this next. Was it true that the new West Side Story had no subtitles when they
Yeah.
had Hablando and Espanol speak in Spanish? That was not smart on Spielberg's part, if true. I was trying to ask a member of our community. I won't out him. I don't think he'd care though either way. But oh, hello, Courtney's Fellowship of Oddballs. Welcome to the chat.
Hey,
If you're a
Courtney.
fellow gentlemen, you're always welcome here. Thank you for showing up here. But yeah, apparently this actually is a thing. Steven Spielberg made conscious decision to not include subtitles in West Side Story. And at first I was thinking, well, this is just maybe a line of Spanish or a brief conversation here and there. We didn't bother subtitling. But let me read you this. After much anticipation, the West Side Story remake is officially hitting theaters on December 10th. Directed by Steven Spielberg, the film centers on Ansel Elgort and Rachel Ziegler as star-crossed lovers, Tony and Maria. While the movie is a reimagining of the 1961 classic, Spielberg's remake does away with the harmful stereotypes of Latin. Oh, they're using the Latinx thing in this article. Wonderful. But I did this mainly for the Spielberg quotes. In an interview with IGN, and remember you can't spell ignorant without IGN, the director explained that he gave casting director Cindy Tolan a mandate that he was going to entertain. That he wasn't going to entertain any auditions that aren't parents or grandparents or themselves from a Latinx countries. Let's go over to the Spanish part. Okay, he continued. This was very important to go hand in hand with my reasoning for not subtitling the Spanish. If I subtitled the Spanish, I'd simply be doubling down on the English and giving English the power over the Spanish. This was not going to happen in the film. I needed to respect the language enough to not to subtitle it. Several people have since praised the director's decision on Twitter, saying that it made the story more authentic, and we couldn't agree more. Several people on
Pause right there.
didn't bother going to see the movie.
Pause right there. Several people, said this was great on social media, but clearly not enough to make this movie a hit. Again, remember, just because you got some people saying something positive about it on social media does not translate to anything like logic, reason, or good box office sales.
So what do we think here? Is this?
I think this is the dumbest thing that I've ever heard. Okay, I think any Latino with any intelligence is going to say no. If you don't speak Spanish, I want you to enjoy my language. I want you to learn my language. I want you to be able to follow the story. I don't want you to tune out from the movie because now people are speaking Spanish. Okay.
We've had articles recently about accessibility to movies, how they're putting captions on. They're having caption screenings for a lot of these movies to help with accessibility.
Yeah.
I don't know how this is.
So now you have purposely made sure that anyone who doesn't speak Spanish can't follow along with the Spanish dialogue. Okay. Guess what? Unless you put subtitles for the whole thing, you're making sure that anyone who is hearing impaired cannot enjoy your movie either.
I'm wondering what the caption version is like. Does it end up captioning in Spanish?
That is the biggest frickin' problem that I see with this. It is fucking hypocritical. It really is. It is the dumbest piece of bullshit I've ever heard. And of course, in the same interview where Spielberg is spewing this bullshit, he uses the phrase that triggers most of the Latin community, fucking Latinx.
Yep.
It's like you are a stupid fucking gringo is what you are, you dumbass. Anyway. You have no business weighing in on this shit. You never should have even made this movie if you have these kinds of feelings.
Why did he make this movie, though?
I don't know. I don't know why people want to continue to deify Steven Spielberg. He has made some great movies, but he's also made some shit, and he's also made some stupid decisions.
Like Amazing Stories. I'm sorry, I'll be kind.
I don't know about all of them.
There were like a couple episodes that were good. I remember being a kid, and I thought, oh, Steven Spielberg presents Amazing Stories. I'm going to be getting like Star Wars and Indiana Jones, and he didn't do Star Wars, but Indiana Jones and Close Encounters type stories every week, and then it's no. It's the...
Auditor Dredd brings up an excellent point, okay? There are a lot of people that maybe neither Spanish nor English is their first language. Or they grew up in a Spanish family, but they're not truly fluent in Spanish, right? Or they're immigrants that are learning English now and they struggle with the English portion of the movie. Why not subtitle the whole fucking movie? That would solve the problem. No, he had to do this so that he could virtue signal. That's all this was.
Yeah, you could do that.
Instead of doing the right thing for everyone, he purposely carved out a group of people to piss off. And he's suffering for it, I believe, at least partially, in the box office because of it. It's going to flop, and this is at least one of the decisions that led to that.
Now, it's been a long time since I've seen West Side Story, but isn't one of maybe the things is that it's rather stupid for these two groups to be fighting each other. They're both immigrant communities. One, I think, is Polish. The other is Puerto Rican. Is that right?
Yep, but that's been completely lost now because now Polish is considered white, and they don't have a historic struggle now because of the color of their skin. Okay, just like the Irish and the Italians of this country.
People forget a lot of these immigrant groups that came over, even Germans.
Racist people specifically willfully forget.
Yes.
Only my people ever suffered. Your people never suffered.
When you're thinking of Poland up until recently was an oppressed country in Europe. First by a certain German group, which I'm never allowed to mention on YouTube, and also later by the Soviets. They got hit both times, and now they're enjoying their freedom now. Well,
something that Steven Spielberg, Mr. Schindler's List, should fucking know.
I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if this is recent, this change in him, if he's been in his... If everyone in Hollywood is just in their bubble, been in this bubble too long, and they went...
I think he has definitely been... He was bound to have this happen. I saw it when he did his re-release of E.T. and wanted to take all the guns out. At least he had the intelligence to go, no, I'll make it so that you can watch either version. Yeah, but just the fact that he had the idea to remove the guns was already, okay, you're a dumbass. You're already starting your virtue signaling bullshit. And then it comes to something like this. And I'm sorry, guys, people that are triggered by right-wing extremists saying things like get woke, go broke. I'm sorry. Show me one instance where it doesn't happen, because I keep seeing example after example after example of companies going broke because of stupid woke decisions they make.
Also,
ask Gillette how things have worked out for them.
So, Auditor Dredd, also his use of the word Latinx shows his ignorance. No one in this Hispanic Latino community uses that word. It's 3% supposedly in a poll that endorses that word. Yeah, and you know who that 3% are? Probably 3% of the Latino community that happens to be gay. Oh, it's Courtney. Gentlemen, sorry I have to run. Have a great night. Thanks for being here, Courtney. Take care. Yes. Okay, so we got, what was I going to say? But why did this movie fail at the box office, though? Did you know it was there any advertising for this thing? Did you know it was even out? What, West Side Story? Yeah. Well, okay, yes, I did. We follow the trades because they tell us, but I don't remember seeing anything on TV for this movie or fuck if I know what's on TV. I don't watch TV at all. I knew West Side Story was coming out because I follow Pauly Latino Slant, right. Midnight Edge Espanol. So yeah, I knew West Side Story was coming, but I can also tell you, you know what else did really well, much better than West Side Story? In the Heights. And that got almost no publicity. It was only word of mouth, mostly from the Latin community. Right. Which I haven't seen myself. I don't know if that was good or not. I know I haven't either, but I've heard it was really good. Okay, so maybe go try to check out In the Heights. I would. West Side Story. Okay. And it's funny he mentions, and the 3% seem to be from LA. Yeah, of course. Oh yeah. I mean, because I think it's a prerequisite. If you move to LA, you got to be gay. And if you're not gay, you pretend to be. I want to say something else though. Yeah, where you have to admit to being bi. I guess that's part of it.
Oh yeah, that's the easy way. You can
What?
then still date your preferred gender and just say, well, but I'm bi.
Of
I'm
course.
open to sex with someone else, but I'm with this person right now.
What did I want to mention to you though? Spielberg has been having trouble getting funding for his movies over the years, and I don't think this is going to help. Like he had to really
No.
reach out for Lincoln, and I think now going forward, this is not.
No, it's, you know what? This is Hollywood. It's just business. What have you done for me lately? And Steven Spielberg, how have your most recent movies done? Not real well.
By the way, his next movie is going to be a biopic about himself, which is going to star Seth Rogen in a role as well. So,
Are you serious?
I'm not kidding you. He's playing Spielberg's apparently.
That totally could have totally been a complete bullshit. You could have been totally, because that sounds so ridiculous.
He's playing Spielberg's favorite uncle. Like I guess it's a movie about Spielberg as
Forget it. For one thing, no one should ever be a part of their own autobiography. That's just the height of conceit. And bring Rogan into it, and you may as well just throw it down the shitter right now.
Yeah, no, not part of their own biopic. It'd be like if Ray Charles had directed the Ray movie, right?
It'd be different if it's like Adam West playing Adam West on Family Guy,
Right.
Adam West.
One I did like, actually. Oh, I get the son and the father confused, but I think it was Mario Van Peebles doing a story about his dad and playing his dad in the movie, which I thought was kind of interesting. But,
oh, God.
Oh, you didn't like that? Okay.
I didn't see it. I didn't know it existed, but I can imagine because
Adam West was actually in that movie too. He had a cameo. He played Oliver.
Mario Van Peebles' father.
Melvin Van Peebles, right?
Oh God.
The movie was called Badass. It was about the directing of the first independent.
And how he cast his son in a sex scene so that his son could get some.
There, and the son is playing his dad, casting it. It's so weird.
Oh my God!
It's in my opinion, though. I will say this: it might be the best movie ever made about making movies. I'll say that.
I would imagine, and if it's even close to reality, it's one of those. It's got to be one of those kinds of movies where the reality was so effed up that if the movie's even close to it, it's going to seem absurd.
No, he doesn't shy away from certain stuff. You'll
God.
find out if you.
I may have to look into this because I know the real story.
Because I did see I was in film class and the teacher class says, "Hey, we're having a special showing of Sweetback's Badass Song," and of course you're being the young college student saying, "I'm open to things. I'll stay after and watch this movie." I watched Sweetback's Badass Song, which was the first independent movie made by a black director in the United States. It was interesting, and then they did a movie about the actual making of the movie years later.
Huh.
Alex Kurtzman's. Okay, now moving on. Oh wait, I have to read Red's comment. Wait, Seth Rogen is in a Spielberg biopic. Oh hell, yeah. Alex Kurtzman's Secret Hideout elevates Aaron Byers to president of television. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not reading this entire article because I realize when I was cut and pasting, this is one of these things that goes on forever. Aaron Byers has been named president television for Alex Kurtzman's CBS studio-based production company Secret Hideout Bears, who most recently SVP of television will succeed Heather Caden, who is leaving the company to pursue other opportunities. Bears is getting the promotion after a 10-year tenure as VP and SVP, working under Kurtzman and Caden at Secret Hideout and its predecessor, KO Paper Products. Oh, did he work for a paper product company? Okay, I'm not going to read all the BS. I'd like to thank Mr. Kurtz, blah, blah. Okay, he played a key role in the development and production expansion of all the series in the Star Trek universe. He brought the animated Star Trek Lower Decks into the company, along with its creator, Mike McCann, and serves as executive producer on the series, which already has been renewed for a third season.
Okay.
Are these series doing well on CBS All Access?
No, they're not.
Paramount Plus?
No, they're not.
Am I not seeing something?
But in honesty,
there is an audience for these things.
In all honesty, I think we're burying the lead here. Okay,
right.
I think the important point is that this Aaron Byers, who's been very much involved with Alex Kurtzman.
Right.
Alex Kurtzman, who we just talked about a month or so ago, who got his contract renewed for some reason, who knows why. Now Aaron Byers is moving up. But that's not the big news. That's just he's taking a position because of the next article. This is where the real meat of the story is.
Okay. Heather Caden is going out on her own after 12 years of running TV production company, Alex Kurtzman's Secret Hideout.
Yep.
And its predecessor, Kurtzman and Bob Orkey's KO Paper Products. That must be a production company. That's a stupid name for a production company. KO Paper Products? What does that mean? Like you're giving a KO to a bunch of paper towels?
I don't know. Is this some reference to The Office or something? I don't know.
Is this some pew thing that the kids in California do?
I don't
know. All right. Okay. So President Cicada is leaving to pursue opportunities. Her exit is still being finalized. It's unclear whether or not Caden will continue as an executive producer on Secret Hideout's project development, which she has shepherded. Heather and I spent 12 extraordinary years together, and in blah, blah, blah. Okay. According to sources, this is the meat of it. Okay, CBS Studios offered Caden a producing deal, but after 8.5 years at CBS, Viacom, CBS, she opted to go to the marketplace and explore what is out there in terms of opportunities. I hear Caden, whose deal was up, is open to remaining a producer on her own or at a studio. She has always been gravitating towards scrappy independent outfits or possibly return to the executive ranks. Now she's basically saying no for the offer as a producer.
What does that tell you, Agent Boomer? That should ring huge alarm bells to anyone who's really paying attention. Is
this the rats leaving the sinking ship?
Absolutely. You don't, after 12 years, okay, you're offered a deal like that, you take that. That's your golden parachute. That is the money that you sit on while you're looking around to see if you can find anything else somewhere else.
Maybe she'd rather sit on the money as a producer at ABC or some other studio.
Maybe, yeah. It sounds to me like you can take your offer here and shove it. I would rather let go of with both hands and reach out into the void and hope I grab a hold of something than stay here with you. Okay? That's what you do. Okay, if you're going down a fire escape, okay? You don't let go from one rung before you grab the next one unless the rung you're holding onto is on fire.
What?
Okay, and I feel like that's what she's doing. She's letting go of both rungs because they're on fire, and she'll hopefully catch something at the landing.
You know what I find interesting? We've been talking about movies lately, and we talk about all the releases, and we've criticized Warner Brothers for the day and date, but they've released movies in theaters. Disney has released movies in theaters. Sony has released movies in theaters. Did Paramount release anything theatrically this year of significance? Or did they just chicken out?
You got me there. I can't think of anything.
I may have to do some looking up. I know that this Top Gun Maverick movie has been postponed forever.
And remember what we said about them pushing back movies. Every time they sit on it and push it back, they're losing money, right? Because they owe money to you go into debt with movies like this, and you got to pay back the interest on those debts. So you're losing money every month that movie is not released and bringing in money. I would say the only exception to that has been Ghostbusters, because they've been making money hand over fist from marketing for over a year before the movie was ever released.
Right.
Everything else has been losing money. So
they were supposed to release Top Gun Maverick around Veterans Day because it had been postponed from a Memorial Day release, and then I think maybe a 4th of July release. I could be wrong on that last one, but
so what kind of marketing?
They actually said Ghostbusters helped take a lot of that box office it might have gotten because it wasn't out.
And what marketing could Paramount ever look to? What lunch boxes and toys and T-shirts are they selling? Are there people out there clamoring for Top Gun? Sunglasses or flight suits?
It's weird. Back in the day, in the 80s, I think there was some Top Gun marketing.
Sure there was. I had a buddy who had a lunchbox.
Yeah. but I don't think they're seeing that as something that you market now. Plus, we've had the whole, not that I'm besmirching the military, but recently, I don't.
Lord knows they're not making any money off of Star Trek Discovery toys or Captain Picard toys.
What are they selling?
Classic stuff. Licenses for the classic Star Trek.
I don't know. They have Mission Impossible, but again, they don't do marketing with that either. They don't have action figures based on those movies.
They make
they don't
exactly
have video games. Because Tom Cruise will never be in a video game. He said that was another problem.
They make exactly as much as they profit from the movie. When the movie is done making money, they stop making money.
Okay, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
my prediction for 2022 is that Paramount and CBS are in a world of financial hurt, and we're going to be doing a lot more reporting on them from the financial standpoint and the business standpoint than we do from the entertainment standpoint.
But they had the Paw Patrol movie come out.
Yeah, I missed that one.
I kept thinking too, was Clifford the Big Red Dog, was that monstrosity on that wasn't even on Paramount Plus, that was a Peacock exclusive. That was a Universal.
And I hear it
even
didn't
Universal's
do well.
released stuff, yeah. Even Universal had the Fast and the Furious movie they released this year. I don't know what Paramount released this year. Was A Quiet Place 2, was that them or was that somebody else? I keep thinking that's Universal, but I could be wrong. Okay.
Don't know.
You know me, I know nothing. Okay, no new Ghostbusters. Here we go. Ghostbusters. I made a point that I do try to be more positive. I will complain on this channel, and I'll go into that maybe in a couple of weeks. We are going to complain, and we are going to tear things apart that are stupid. But when companies do right, we also reward them and talk positive. And I think Sony's handling of Ghostbusters now, not the 2016 debacle, they learned their lesson.
Yeah.
Now they're doing good. They're doing good by the fans. And so if I can find anything positive to say about Ghostbusters each week, I'm going to put it in these notes. That's been kind of my pledge. And this is interesting news.
Going into this piece, I am going to front load this with, I do think that this was an accidental scoop. I think that Ernie Hudson spoke a little bit out of turn, but I don't think anyone's given him any shit about it.
Yeah. I think that's probably what happened. This is from Nintendo Life, a site I go to regularly to find out about the new Switch games and whatnot. But this is kind of a neat article, though. The release of Ghostbusters Afterlife has put the paranormal comedy series back in the spotlight, and the increased interest means we're also getting a new video game with actor Ernie Hudson now backing up previous reports. Hudson, as we all know, plays the role of Winston Zeddemore in the movie series and has been speaking on the Countdown City Geeks YouTube channel about the upcoming game. The actor contributed his voice and likeness to the 2009 Ghostbusters video game, which was more recently remastered on Switch, and has asked if he would be willing to start another game. This is him speaking. I just got an email because we're doing another video game. They're scheduling it now to do the recording, and I'm not sure who's going to do it. I know me and Dan Aykroyd, they assume. I think. I'm not sure about Bill Murray will do anything on it. So there will be another video game. When they'll bring it out, I don't know, but it's definitely happening. Interesting. He even spoke a little bit about the issues developers have been having getting his likeness right. They've been sending me prototypes of the character to get the image right, which they seem to have a hard time somehow creating my image. It's so weird that they can get Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis to look exactly like they look, but I end up looking like Eddie Murphy or somebody.
Which is a little funny because there's the urban legend or rumor or whatever that Eddie Murphy was originally supposed to be in Ghostbusters 2 or Ghostbusters, and instead he went and did Beverly Hills Cop, so they got Ernie Hudson instead. That is, however, rumor that has never been substantiated. There's a lot of in fact, I just recently saw a very interesting video about the casting of Bill Murray and how that almost didn't happen, and it was a chicken and the egg kind of thing. Ghostbusters wouldn't happen without Bill Murray, but Bill Murray didn't want to sign on unless Ghostbusters was really happening. So it looks like maybe, possibly, Dan Aykroyd may have pulled a fast one and, told the studio, yep, I've definitely got Bill Murray, and told Bill Murray, yep, we definitely got the movie. And so they both go in assuming they got yeah, it's an interesting thing. And the fact is, it's one of those things that it doesn't really matter anymore. It happened. Everyone's happy about it. Nobody's going to, bitch and moan about it at this point, but but the same thing, the whole Eddie Murphy angle, who knows if there's any truth to that at this point? Who cares? Because we did get Beverly Hills Cop. We did get Ernie Hudson doing
everybody won that summer.
An excellent role that would not have been the same role had it been played by Eddie Murphy. So
I understand why they would have cast him, though, because you want another. You were going to have another comedic titan like Bill Murray or Dan Aykroyd, and that's Eddie Murphy. But I like Ernie Hudson because I think
at the same time,
that's why I like him, because he's not the comedic character.
Exactly. So if you had
something else to it,
two goofy comical characters, I could see Eddie Murphy and Bill Murray in the same movie, but that might have been too much. I do feel like Ernie Hudson played the everyman. He was your self-insert character, in my opinion. I know it's ridiculous that I could see myself in someone who doesn't have the same skin color as me.
Too, though.
Oh my God, I don't know how that's possible, but I did. I saw him as that would have been me had I been in this movie.
Yeah,
I don't know any of this stuff.
Saw Winston,
yeah, but I need a job, and I'll believe anything if there's a paycheck in it. And then, holy crap, this stuff's real. I'm really doing something. He had
a very calming presence, and he brought something different to the table because he wasn't a scientist, so he was
right.
To bring a different perspective to the situation. I loved him in those movies. I loved him in Afterlife, especially when he gets that thing at the very end of the credits. And I have to remember that in all my success in life, I started as a Ghostbuster, and I love that. And
I do too. And I'll tell you, that was
movies.
I felt like that was Dan Aykroyd and Jason
Reitman.
Jason Reitman, thank you. Really building on and extrapolating from that initial base concept of the entrepreneurs, right? Fighting against the kind of oppressive government,
all the regulations,
licensing regulation thing. Yeah. In fact, there was even that line that Ray says when he's talking on the phone with Phoebe. He says, well, it was the Reagan years and everything was great and blah, 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 blah. And it's like that was integral to the story. Economics was at the heart of this thing, this business, this upstart business and whatnot. And then, honestly, it's Winston's character that exemplifies it. It's started out with nothing, got an opportunity, made the most of it, took my money and invested it, and now I'm in a position where I can help out my friends who helped me get here. I
love it, yeah. Well, even in the beginning of the movie, there's that wonderful scene when they're at the dinner table and they're having the Chinese food. They're saying, "This magnificent feast you're eating is the last of the petty cash," and then they're like, "Chew slowly."
Chew slowly. Yeah, exactly.
Or something to that effect. And then we got one call from Janine. That was that.
And as a Ghostbuster fan, I've really dug into the economics behind this, and they tell you exactly how much they charged for the Slimer, thing. I could do up an invoice based on what he says. Now you assume that there's probably a variation in the because once you find out what the tier system is of the different ghosts, and Slimer was a particularly nasty one, and so simpler ghosts would be a little bit easier. They may not have charged as much for the what's it called, the jogger. Do you remember the jogger ghost where he's just sitting there? And
I love that. I love that scene in part 2 when and even though it's just a jogger ghost, he kind of looks messed up a little bit, right? Like
yes, but he probably and there's no there's nothing in canon that confirms it, but based on what we know of the tier systems of Ghost, he's probably a level 2 repeating apparition, which means he's not interacting with them. He's scaring people in the park, but he's not hurting anyone, and he's on a loop. He just, every day at this time, he runs, well, if that's the case.
Didn't he push people out of the way while he was jogging, though, and that's why...
Oh, yeah, that could be part of it.
So get out of my way.
By and large, he wasn't really hurting anybody.
No.
But it was a nuisance ghost, and so the city may have said, okay, we'll pay you to get rid of this. Okay, well, it was a tier 2. It didn't take a lot of... We didn't even have to use our proton packs for this one, so you get a bonus on that. We just have the containment charge. I've thought these things through. I really have.
The possibilities, especially going forward, and I hope Brightman's listening for Ghostbusters, is endless.
Yeah,
you could make so many movies, different kinds of movies with this property.
I'm not even concerned if he's listening, because I know he's already thought of most of this stuff.
So I'm looking forward to more Ghostbusters. More Ghostbusters is a good thing. Maybe less Fantastic Beasts is a good thing too, according to what fans are saying.
Oh yeah, let's get into that.
Oh boy, it's been a while. Since
a little bit of Schadenfreude here.
This whole thing is collapsing on itself.
I predicted this. I said it was going to.
J.K. Rowling with her...
It's a double whammy. They are getting a double whammy between Fantastic Beasts and Aquaman. They have doubly fucked themselves.
And now I think they're trying to distance themselves from J.K. Rowling, even though she owns this stuff. She's like the George Lucas of this property, right? They don't own it from her. I don't think they can work.
Yeah, the whole
make these things without her consent. I don't think that can happen.
No, the J.K. Rowling thing is a non-starter. Okay, okay, fine. They downplay her role in it. Maybe they don't put her in the credits. Whatever. Doesn't matter. She still makes the fucking money. And if you love Harry Potter but you hate J.K. Rowling, well, too bad. Your money is still going in her pocket. Deal with it.
Anyway, it's been a while since the Wizarding World was on our screens. That being said, it seems that Harry Potter content is being lined up for fans in the very near future. HBO Max will debut the anniversary document. I don't care. Okay. Next year, a third installment in the Fantastic Beasts franchise will release. While the return of the magical world is highly anticipated, not just for the better, one specific casting decision is causing waves online, with fans launching a boycott against the upcoming movie. Eddie Redmayne first brought up the Magi zoologist Newt Scamander to the Wizarding World back in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them 2016. Before the sequel, Fantastic Beasts Crimes of Grindelwald 2018 debuted 2 years later. After 4 years, Redmayne will return as the Shy Wizard in J.K. Rowling's Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore from director David Yates and screenwriter Steve Kloves. The upcoming Harry Potter spin-off will also bring back Jude Law, Albus Dumbledore, Ezra Miller, Credence Barebone, Dan Fogler, Jacob Kowalski, Alison Siddall, all these actors. Among new cast members joining the Magic and Wizarding World. Although, after much speculation that the actress won't appear in a huge role capacity, Watterson was seemingly absent from the first official trailer of Secrets of Dumbledore. Perhaps the biggest casting announcement came in the form of actor Johnny Depp's Gellert Grindelwald recasting. Mads Mikkelsen was announced as the actor to take on the role of the evil wizard after Depp was forced to resign from the Warner Brothers production amid the domestic abuse controversy involving his ex-wife, who I won't name by name. After losing the libel case against the British tabloid The Sun and news group newspapers, when the publication called him a quote-unquote wife beater, Depp issued a statement that he would no longer be playing Dumbledore's arch nemesis in the future Fantastic Beasts franchise. And Depp first appeared as the Dark Wizard Gellert Grindelwald at the end of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, after it turned out Colin Farrell's Percival Graves was the evil wizard all along. The Pirates of the Caribbean star then fully embodied the role in the Fantastic Beasts movie sequel, Crimes of Grindelwald. But now it will be Mikkelsen that will carry on the Grindelwald legacy, at least for the next film. And Johnny Depp fans are not happy about it. Twitter user Las Vegas said, "Johnny Depp is my Grindelwald." Another tweet says, "Making the new Grindelwald an ordinary person makes the movie not more interesting. They have replaced Johnny Depp and told the people who were against it that they are not needed. So show them we do not need a boring Fantastic Beasts 3. Let us boycott Warner Brothers, who punished the victim. People are not happy about this.
No,
And
there's no way around this. However they want to try and frame it, they made a choice. They decided they were going to believe Amber Heard. They were going to castigate Johnny Depp. And as all the details in the case came out, they're realizing they picked the wrong horse. They chose to vilify the victim and deify the abuser.
Yeah.
And this is why, people, you always are innocent until proven guilty. This is why that concept exists.
This is why we have courts. That Sex and the City actor whose character got killed off recently, he's now been Me Too'd as well. So he's calling the allegations false. We'll see. But
the one that appeared in Dr. Her as the Orange Man analog.
You ever notice?
Fuck him.
Yeah. He's also on The Equalizer with Queen Latifah. But anyway, yeah, that was kind of a leap, that show. So yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking Fantastic Beasts is going to bomb at the box office, but we'll see.
It's got all kinds of stuff working against it, between the J.K. Rowling stuff and the Johnny Depp stuff. This is a loser. Not that the last couple Fantastic Beasts movies were huge successes.
I think Johnny Depp was the big draw of those movies, having him as the lead villain role. I mean, this character was talked about in the Harry Potter movies as this legendary bad
and
wizard.
Honestly, for Johnny's sake, I hope this does bomb, because it sends a loud message to Disney as they try to go forward with their Pirates movies.
Did he already get paid?
Yep.
Or you get paid?
Because that's what happens in Hollywood. You sign a contract, you get paid one way or the other. You decide you want to go a different way, you still got to buy them out of their contract.
I'm telling you, whoever made this decision, if this movie tanks, they need to get fired.
See, that's the other thing, too. Keep in mind that however much money this movie makes, they had to pay double for Grindelwald.
Well,
they had to pay two actors.
They are not paying Mads Mikkelsen the same money they were paying Johnny Depp.
No, but they are paying two actors to play one role.
In fact, I think maybe they picked him because they knew they wouldn't have to pay him. I mean, he's a good actor. I'm not picking on him, but...
But there is something to be said for time, experience, past victories, and he does not command the kind of money that Johnny Depp was contracted at.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on. I don't know if you're going to get fired about this one. I found this article a little funny, but we'll talk about it. LeVar Burton wishes but of course he's bringing the race thing into it, which I don't know. LeVar Burton wishes the white Star Trek writers had let his character have game. He's never let this go. He's harped on this for years. I've heard him talk about this in the past. Star Trek The Next Generation of Reading Rainbow star LeVar Burton has some issues with how the show, which was even less diverse off-screen than it was on-screen, portrays his character Geordi. In an interview with Rolling Stone, Burton said, "There's one thing in particular that he didn't like and wouldn't mind changing. He'd get laid," Burton said, adding that it was weird that the android character Data got more play than he did. In addition, Burton blamed the fact that white writers' unconscious bias against black men. Over the course of the show, the microaggressions added up, he said in the full quote. "Weird, it's insulting. Whether they are aware of it or not, those white men who wrote the show had an unconscious bias that was on display to me and to other people of color. Their blind spot is revealed in the fact that a black man never was successful at one of the basic and most. My wife says there's a lid for every pot. It's true. The idea that Geordi never found a lid for his pot is ludicrous, it's preposterous, and it's insulting."
And what did I respond to you behind the scenes when you sent me that article?
It was not pretty. I don't remember your exact words.
I sent you a picture of Leia Brahms having a surprised reaction. It's like, does he not even remember what happened with his character?
Well, no, he brings that up here. Doesn't he? Okay, to further specify, Burton, the episode Booby Trap, where he has a romance with a hologram, was especially problematic. He falls in love with a fake Dr. Brahms, then comes off as creepy when she shows up. And that's part of the problem, right? In their attempts to be cute, they inadvertently create an episode of Geordie's character that is very uncomfortable. What do you have to say on that?
I think he's selectively forgetting what happens after that.
Yeah,
right?
They,
because we know that ultimately he ends up getting married to that character.
What?
So yes.
When did this happen?
It happened twice. It happened in All Good Things, in the future that Picard sees. And how's Leia? Oh, she and the kids are doing great. So we know he continues to have some sort of relationship with the real world Leia Brahms, right? And they end up getting married eventually.
Interesting. Okay? Now, did she have a husband or a boyfriend on the show when she shows up?
She did. She was married on her character was married at the time that they first met. So you assume that they split up at some point, or maybe something happened to him, because in the future they ended up getting married. And now apparently there has been talk that is going to still be the case in the next season of Picard.
So then what's the issue then?
He's a racist asshole. With selective memory, with intentionally selective memory.
I would argue going on to Deep Space Nine, you had plenty of relationships with Cisco and all that.
I think Kunta Kinte needs to stuff his gob with more grits, dummy.
Oh, he was on Roots, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Yes. Okay. I don't know, but I don't know. He has been harping on this for a long time, though, so maybe he does have selective memory, as you say. Okay, but
maybe he should have made more of his own career. Like some of his other, like Jonathan Frakes did, maybe. Tell me, if they had such an unconscious bias, why did Worf get so much game?
Oh no, he said that before in other articles. He used to argue that Worf didn't count because he's a Klingon. He's not human. He's not a human.
What a fucking racist.
That's what he said. Anyway, I never recall LeVar being this whiny about his role in Reading Rainbow. Also, Worf, while playing an alien, had game, and he was playing.
Yeah, did he get a lot of game when he was in Reading Rainbow? Was he pissed about that too?
I don't know. Let's not go there.
Let's not dig too deep into that one.
Let's not go there, and let's not. Next thing we'll be talking about Blues.
Well, I'll tell you, that's just another Star Trek actor that I wouldn't give the time of day to if they were at a convention.
They've been really mouthy ever since somebody got elected president. I noticed this with a lot of people.
They can all go fuck themselves. I don't give a shit anymore.
Okay. Moving on to our final article tonight. It's getting late. The Goonies film reenactment drama lands in development at Disney Plus after Fox passed.
That whole title sounds like word salad to me.
Well, the whole article is word salad. I'm going to read it, okay? The Goonies-inspired drama that was previously set up at Fox has moved to Disney Plus. The streamer is now redeveloping the project, which the broadcast network passed on in May. Untitled film reenactment project, which is now known as Our Time, comes from the bold-type creator Sarah Watson of the Gail Berman-run Sidecar, Steven Spielberg's Emblem, and Studio Warner Brothers. The original project, written by Watson, began after failing to make it in New York and carrying a heavy secret with her. Stella Cooper returns to her distressed automotive hometown to substitute teach. She finds inspiration, hope, and ultimately salvation when she agrees to help 3 students who are pursuing their filmmaking dreams by putting on an impossibly ambitious shot-for-shot remake of one of their students' favorite movies, The Goonies. Over the course of the season, their passions will inspire a town in desperate need of hope in their love letter to the power of cinema, storytelling, and dreams. Fox originally ordered a pilot for February 2020, but it played a little too young for the network. I don't know what that means. Kids would like it, so it can't be on TV. Exec producers include Watson, Berman, and okay. Variety was first with the news. Okay, is the idea for this series? This is a drama or comedy, or I don't know, family-oriented series, fictional series about a woman that goes back to a small town and helps students make a shot-by-shot remake of The Goonies? Is that the idea for the show?
I don't know. I mean,
At
that's
first I thought this was a reality show where they were going to try remaking the
that's
Goonies
what
on
it sounds
their
like
own.
from the title, right?
But I
It's
think
very oddly worded.
this is weird. I don't know if this is a brilliant or awful. I can't tell from seeing this. So 3 students who are pursuing their filmmaking dreams by making an ambitious shot-for-shot. This reminds me, didn't somebody do a shot-for-shot remake of Raiders on their spare time? Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Something like, yeah, I think so.
And it was just some people in their spare time, they were doing shot-for-shot scenes of Raiders of the Lost Ark using, of course, budget cameras and all this other stuff. So it wasn't, of course, going to be up to the original. But is that what this is supposed to be? These students want to do a shot-for-shot remake of the Goonies? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. It might be interesting, but it's a fictional show.
They might want to make it a little bit clearer what the fuck they're talking about here.
Well, do you like the Goonies?
I loved the Goonies.
Okay.
That was a brilliant film, yes.
I mean, maybe instead of doing a remake of the Goonies, which would, of course, not be good, they're doing a show about kids wanting to remake the Goonies themselves. So, I don't know. It might be... I don't know. Did you ever see that movie, Be Kind, Rewind?
Yeah, in fact, we've got it on our list for Netter to do a rewatch of it in the very near future.
Remember when it was Jack Black was in that? They had to redo Ghost. Remember they taped over, so they had to remake all these movies, right?
Right.
They had on VHS because they redo the Ghostbusters themselves, right? So they have to make their own budget proton packs. So that's sort of what this is reminding me of. I don't know.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'm going to keep an eye on this Goonies story. I'm now curious. It's just weird enough that I want to keep paying attention to it. The Goonies film reenactment drama lands in development. It's word salad. I don't know what's going on.
It really is. It makes no sense to me.
2022, 2021 needs to go away and never return again under penalty of torture. Just go away, 2021. I hope 2022 isn't nuttier. This is just this year. Okay. How you doing? Is everybody in the chat so they all flee for
Well, it says there's 5 watching and there's 2 of us, so that means there must be at least 3 other people.
Also, we did the Worf thing, the LeVar Burton thing. Well, maybe LeVar Burton will chill out a little bit.
Well, but isn't that exactly the way? You make a point. Well, what about Michael Dorr? Oh, well, he played a Klingon. Is he any less black? Okay, I mean,
don't know.
You played a blind guy. What's your point?
I mean, I assume that the reason why Worf is black and other Klingons are, and then you have Tuvok are black. That on these planets you have different regions of the world where people grew up separate, and then they it's just I don't know. Okay, I choose to remain silent with the word salad. You will be watching this. Hi, Team Ghost Planet. Good to hear you're both here. So I think this is the last news stream of the year, because next week we're going to be doing our I think, what is it, the winner of the year, the loser of the year, and our prediction for
the coming year.
Prediction for 2022. We're going to do a different kind of stream next week, so it's going to be our basically the one news story that we thought, or the new news event that happened that we loved, and the thing that didn't happen, and then also the big thing for next year. And my prediction is going to be a doozy, and Troy will argue with me, but I'm predicting it next week. So you'll have to tune in on the 26th day after Christmas, Boxing Day, after Troy has had his sumptuous feast of Chinese food. Right? You gonna get some egg rolls?
Yeah.
Boxing Day.
Yeah.
Egg rolls and fried rice. That's not bad. You can get the house special fried rice that has everything in it. You get like shrimp and beef and pork and everything.
I always thought that was just their leftovers from their previous batches.
No, just, something. Oh, I remember an old Mad Magazine comic strip that would be very problematic today, but it was about this guy being in a Chinese restaurant. And it's actually, I think it's the opposite in China in real life. When you go there, if you empty your plate, they bring more food because they think you're so hungry. But in the Chinese restaurant, the guy is trying to eat his food, and every time he gets up to talk or somebody talks to him, the waiter is trying to steal the plate from him because they're going to reuse the food for somebody else's plate.
Yeah.
It was this really bad Mad Magazine comic strip from back in the day. But... Okay, so new Spider-Man made the first. Okay, no, let's not. Okay, anyway, and we have a bot. We must be doing well because I keep getting these bots in the chat. I keep removing their comments.
Yeah,
so.
Netter removed one. Now we've got another one.
Okay, I removed a couple too. All right, well, y'all have a good night. Like I say, no. Anyway, I understand Team Ghost Planet, but it's Big Popper. We were only talking about the success of the box office tonight, not any spoilers of it. I haven't seen the movie, so I can't judge it one way or the other. But,
and again, I'm going to say what I always say about spoilers, guys. This is opening week, okay? We did our best for the opening week, but at this point, all bets are off. If you haven't seen it by now, this is the information age. The spoilers are out there, and we need to be able to talk about it.
Understood.
If you don't want to hear about it, then get out there and watch it.
Go see a movie on Christmas Day like they used to in the old days, or maybe just spend time with your family. That's another thing you can do.
Well, that's what Boxing Day is for.
There you go. Oh, man. Okay. That'll be interesting. All right. Well, y'all have a good week. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be back next week. And also, what do you have going on this week, Troy? I'm sorry, I should.
Let's see. I am gonna be busy at work this week, I suspect.
Yeah.
But Friday, I am going to have a very special live stream, one night only, on my Discord. I will have on both my YouTube channels, the Carton the Klingon Cleric and the Troy Pacelli channel. I will have a video playing during that time, pointing you to the Discord, because I will be streaming the Klingon Christmas Carol. There is no other way for you to see it except to come to my Discord Friday evening. It's been a live production that, for a number of years has been playing steadily in Chicago and several other venues around the country, but the COOF pretty much put an end to it, and there were some other problems behind the scenes, so it has not been performed on stage for a while, and the only way to see it now is those people that were with the production from the beginning that got copies of the DVD. So I will be streaming that privately on my Discord. So if you want to join us, I think it'll be a lot of fun. That's what I am doing Friday night. That's Christmas Eve. Then Christmas Day, which is Saturday, Netter will be doing her annual rewatch of Charlie Brown. I'm sorry, what's it called? Charlie Brown Christmas special. Yeah. Charlie Brown Christmas. And you know what? We may do both. We may do both Charlie Brown Christmas specials because they're shorter.
I do like the Harold Angel one. Yeah, that's a good one.
I like that one too. Yeah, that's a good one too. But I will also be streaming that on my Discord as well. So, we will
show up and can watch it with you. I know you have a limited
because I know that there's been challenges when it comes to since they've decided to put those specials behind a paywall now.
Apple TV Plus.
Like I said.
Alrighty, but and I have coming up with soundtracks of Birdman. We will be doing either Home Alone 2 or Die Hard 2. I want to suspect it's Die Hard 2 this week, but we'll find out. Okay, and it should be a fun week. And I should really ask him when he shows up at the beginning of these streams, what movie are we doing this week?
Yeah,
and I've already warned him. Like next year, it's going to be Cobra with Stallone because that's a Christmas movie. Because it has the guy getting shot in the grocery store and getting knocked into a Christmas tree because it's a Christmas movie. Anyway, never mind. Okay.
Yeah.
What time is it? It is late. I know Troy has to work in the morning. I actually have it off for a change. But
wow, that's nice.
Yeah, because I switched my schedule up this week because some people wanted another day off. So I figured I'll take Monday off. It's cool.
That's very charitable of you.
Well, not only that, but the county's treating us good. We get the day before Christmas Eve off, in addition to Christmas Eve. So there you go. So,
really? So that'll be Wednesday, Thursday, or no?
Yeah,
is that
I have
Thursday,
a nice long
Friday?
weekend coming up. So, but of course, I have Christmas stuff to prepare. prepare, so I'll be doing a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
with that too.
Yeah.
All right, but y'all have a very happy holiday, and join us for the streams if you can, and catch you later. Okay.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Oh, I got to end it.